best. They come in to fight, and they come in to really beat your fucking ass. Like,
do you think Vera's able to beat a TJ Dillashaw, Aljo, a Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen, these other?
Passing out the medicines. We've been on that rock star regimen, knowing that I'm heaven sent, higher than I ever been. I got a problem with.
What's going on? Welcome to Totally Blitz Podcast. We're talking fucking UFC Fight Night San Diego, Vera versus Cruz. These are your hosts. I'm Paul Picking Winham Concha. I poured up my shot, and if you think I'm bullshitting, here's my bottle. It's about empty. And I'm joined with.
Hey, that's the junkiest nigga I know, you feel me? But I'm the most dangerous motherfucker in all of podcasting. You the best braids, you feel me? And this is the drunkest episode you'll see me on in a while, you feel me? So, hey, it's your boy Lil KK, aka the Dom PYE, aka the young boy, the street fight enthusiast, and we get to talk about Dominick Cruz versus Chito Vera at the UFC San Diego, dog. This shit was lit. But I'm not gonna lie, this was not a bad card even slightly, Paul. Like, from the jump, starting with the submission, like this shit really kind of showed out.
No, but this is what I tell people, like the prospects, when they fight like non-ranked opponents, but they're still good opponents, they always make the great fights, because the non-ranked good opponents is looking at the prospect of like, you're a little boy. Like, I've been here for fucking 5 years. I fought against the better persons in my division. And then you got the prospects who are usually undefeated sitting there talking about like, bro, I've ran through everybody I fought before. So like, it always makes for a good clash of two sides. One side never wants to give in.
And there was a lot of back and forth fights in this shit. It wasn't just straight up like, there was a lot of shit. So what do you want to start, man? Because like, I could talk this whole thing. I just watched this, rewatched.
We can start honestly with the Devin. I know you want to talk to Devin Clark versus Azamat Murzakanov, but Azamat, honestly, like, I knew Devin Clark was going to come in with wrestling, and Devin Clark came in with wrestling, and his tree trunk thighs showcased his ass fucking was able to wrestle. But after Azamat was able to showcase some takedown defense, it was game over. The moment he couldn't take him down, Azamat just tore his ass up from the feet on, and by third round got his ass with a knockout punch. And then some ground and pound to make sure he's out.
Right, I feel like that shit was fucking terrible, dog. The ass, not you know what I'm saying? I hate saying the ass, but the beat he put on him for those 40 seconds, and the ref was just looking like, am I gonna do anything? It's like this the whole time, just Osmond.
Help me.
He was a fucking monster. He mauled bro for 3 rounds, and like, it's just the Russians doing what the Russians do best. They come in to fight, and they come in to really beat your fucking ass. Like, I feel like Devin Clark, he's 12-6. He's not like a top tier fighter, but he's probably has a couple of names on his resume. But the fact that Osmond just came in there, he came in with a defense. He came in there with a strategic plan. There weren't too many openings. Devin Clark was just trying to just figure out a way to get in so much, but he just couldn't get in on bro. And then when he hit him with that hit to drop his ass, that shit was dangerous. He said, dude, I want to say it was a right straight through, and then dropped his ass, and then he just took off on him for 30 seconds. Just had the ref looking like, oh, what am I supposed to do right here?
Yeah, and hey, bro, like, he's at least 11-0 going up against a 12-6 UFC veteran. Those are my favorite fights to bet on, because the UFC is not getting an undefeated prospect, a veteran, unless they know they can beat the veteran type shit. So those are my favorite fighters to bet on, and like parlays and stuff, because like, you know, you're gonna win. I don't care. Like, UFC knows what they're doing with undefeated prospects.
Yeah, it was a great fight though. So like, I mean,
Devin Clark, and it's a true test, because Devin Clark is a great wrestler. So with Azamat showcasing he can block the wrestling, and then still like, he's still going to beat you in striking. So you can't take him down. What are you going to do with him? Because he's better than you at striking.
Dead ass, man.
let's go into the women, bro, because the women were no holds barred. This is one of my favorite fights on the card, bro. You got the two Jasmines. You got Yasmin Jagara versus Jasmine Luciendo, and one was spelled with a Y and one was spelled with an I. So neither of Jasmine is what you expected, but they came out fucking banging. I'm not gonna lie, it was a standing fight back and forth, and there was some clinches here and there, but honestly, the whole 3-round fight, less than 30 seconds on the ground. So it was you can't ask for much more. Both women were throwing. I think what I saw, I picked my girl from Mexico as a fellow Mexican. I always got to go with my Mexican fighter. These are both their UFC debuts, so I didn't know much about them. And the boxer from Mexico showcased that she can fucking walk forward and take some hits, but give you way more hits than you could give her. And that's all I can really say about it. What about you, Kev?
I actually was like, when I was talking on the phone while I was rewatching this fight. So every time I looked up, I was like, "Hey, yo, you see this girl with the Freddie Jackson haircut? Yeah, she finna do something." But like, what I really wasn't paying attention to was the fact that every time she walked up, motherfucking Yasmin over here gave her 2 or 3 of them things.
A little leg kick and a body punch, and then walk off.
All day. Like, if you're gonna come in my face, you gonna motherfucking take these motherfucking shits to the head. So like, I respected that. And like, it's a good prospect fight, and I want to see them continue to go. But she looks like she might be dangerous. And what division? This is the bantamweight division, correct? 135.
Strawweight.
Oh, strawweight.
This is the Rose and then Carla Esparza.
Oh, so and Carla Esparza was in attendance watching what's going on. So that was a good fight for them. And I want to see them continue to grow.
One was 20. I think the one that lost was like 20 years old and the youngest women fighter on the card. And the other one was 23. So like, you had 2 UFC debuts at like young fighters. And that's why you love MMA, because this ain't like boxing. If you're having a debut, sometimes you might fight another motherfucker who's also a promising prospect at
23 beat 20. You have no choice but to grow from that shit.
But then we already had 2 prospects that won their fights, and then the third prospect here at the co-main event who lost their fight, and that's why you love UFC, because Onama was a big favorite, but that boy Nate Landwehr got his ass with the decision win. And I was with you as we watched this fight live together, and we were sitting there like, Onama won that first round, but outside of that, Landwehr was just taking off. He was on some gladiator shit, bro. He was here for fucking blood and blood only. He said, get up, get the fuck up. I'm gonna fucking box you again, drop you again.
That was crazy. That was my favorite fight of the night. I should have checked to see who got the bonuses, but that was a fucking crazy ass fight, because Onama came in there, and he came in with a great game plan. He was a better fighter in the first round, but Nate just showed that he's a brawler. He continued to fight, and once he hurt him, he knew that like his confidence went to the next level. He just started connecting the punches and really putting things together. And it was crazy because they had beef. They already didn't fucking like each other. They had a whole face off in front of each other straight up. So to see bro really just go in there and just like shake off that first round and then put on a show, scream to the crowd and shit. Hey man, that was like in the definition, I feel like, of a fight night fight right there. Like, that's what you really wanted to see. Back and forth competition. And it was crazy because Namu damn near fucking got with those last 10 seconds when he got that hit. He almost KO'd him. He almost really tried to figure something out and almost finished him. And like, that would have probably blew the fucking roof off the place. San Diego would have been on a different stratosphere. And that was such a great fucking fight. I think if it was a 5-round fight, maybe Onama might have been able to figure something out. But for the most part, those 2 second and third round, you had to give it to Nate.
Fact. And well, I agree, like those second and third rounds, even though we both decisively give it to Nate, there was 20 to 30 seconds where you thought Onama would get the KO. You sat there, you saw Onama drop him, and you're following him, and you're like, oh fuck, this is the fight. and then Onama wouldn't finish it, and then Nate would end up on top again. But you can't ask much more for a fight night co-main event right there. Honestly, that's the fucking best of the best when it comes with a veteran versus a prospect.
Nah, deadass, man. Motherfucking. It was a great fight. I will say that. I want to see the 10-2. Onama's 10-2 now. Shrug that off and continue to learn from it and grow in the division. What weight class were they? They was on 140s. Were they?
Let me see. I believe 145. They were the Volkanovskis.
Oh dang, yeah, that's a tough division in itself.
But on to the fucking bantamweights. We had the greatest bantamweight ever, Dominick Cruz, losing to Marlon Chito Vera.
I'm mad you keep saying that. Like when I asked you that, you was like, it's up for discussion. And like
no, because I'm admitting now I was wrong because I got weight classes mixed up. I thought Aldo was a 135er, but Aldo's a 145er that moved down to 130. You know, like he moved down, so now I see him at 135, and I don't. It fucked up my memory of him.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
But you were 100% correct. Dominick Cruz is probably, and not really arguably, but the greatest bantamweight ever. He had Chito Vera. Chito Vera is not young, but he was young when he came in. He did that shit. He's proved that he's fought great talents like Rob Font, Dominick Cruz, and he's got finishes. But let's look at the numbers. Significant strikes. Dominick Cruz 92 versus Vera 61. Dominick Cruz was winning those first 3 rounds of the fight. I've give Dominick Cruz for sure 2 rounds. That third round, I think Vera won, but it's still arguable. But the first 2 rounds for sure, Dominick Cruz. How long can Vera keep going with this strategy of giving up rounds and then knocking someone out? How about you, Kev?
So when you look at the scorecards, all the scorecards were the exact same. First 2 rounds went to Dominick Cruz. Third round went to Vera, and then he knocked him out in the last round. So I would give it a bigger picture look, but I look at Vera and how his camp was so strategic, and they had a game plan for Dominick Cruz because they seen it like, yo, he only fights in 8 punch combinations. This motherfucker thinks he's on monkey. This motherfucker thinks he's Monkey D. Luffy or something.
And then done.
So like you're 37. It's not gonna last long doing that. So they waited for him, and then the opening that he baited, he literally baited him right, made it right, and then watch how every time he got hit in the body, he would duck his head left a little bit. So he was like, okay, this is literally just like in camp. And then he baited it. He waited for him. He stayed very patient. I think he could have had a firefight if he wanted to, but he didn't need to because it was still, that's a top 10 knockout of the year. And like the way he literally, and then
HeadKick.
Yeah, he baited him, nigga, and broke his nose immediately on sight. Like that, he didn't hit no shin, just straight fucking foot to the face. They said somebody was watching the fight with me. They said he looked. Oh, not you was on the live stream. They said Brett said that he looked like a Dominick Cruz looked like a wide receiver going for an out of bounds pass type shit. So motherfucking Marlon. So it's not like it was like Marlon Vera. That was a bad strategy. I think that was a strategy set up for Dominick Cruz. So it's just Chito Vera to see what he can do next to other people. But like I think that was just textbook and like Brian the live stream kept saying fight IQ, fight IQ, fight IQ.
Well,
like, he came in with a strong fight IQ.
Well, going into what's going on afterwards with Vera, I just hate it because this is the MMA math that don't make sense. Also, I don't want Vera to fight for an interim belt unless it's against Aldo, or I don't want Vera to fight the winner of TJ Dillashaw versus Aljo. But it probably may happen because the fans are behind Vera, all that stuff, and it will sell good on pay-per-view. But Aldo beat Vera, and I don't think you're going to get Vera versus Aldo 2 because it's not going to help any one of their careers really, because Aldo beat Aldo being the same position he's in after he beats Vera, and Vera, if he loses, he's gonna be in a lot worse position. So I don't think we'll get that as an interim unless it's made as an interim fight. If it's just like a fight night or pay-per-view co-main event type shit, unless it's made an interim belt title, I don't see them fighting each other. But it all makes sense on why they would fight each other, but it won't happen. So I think Vera will probably get some type of belt shot, interim fight shot, but he lost to Aldo. And Aldo won't get that same chance because he's lost to other fighters because, just MMA. You get buried in your losses.
Hey, man, this is why I keep screaming the bantamweight division is the best division in all of the world. Because there's so much shit that can go down at any second, and MMA math doesn't exist. So, like, if
Jan loses to Mali, same thing happens. Jan can never fight for a title again for like probably a couple of years.
So I just look at this shit like, just keep winning, homie. If you in this division, just keep winning. Survival of the fittest. If that's why Sugar Sean was trying, like, it made so much sense for him to sit there and say, like, yeah, I'm not gonna take the big fights because I want to sit down and get used to it, continue this, get my skill set up while creating, while expanding my brand so I can make the money to where I take these big fights. Even if I lose, I'm not really stressing about I'm going to feed my family and pay my bills because I only get paid like 3-4 times a year. So
I love Vera because he's like the Nate Diaz of the bantamweights, a real street dude that gets the work done, and he's a fan favorite even if he don't have a belt. But Dominick Cruz out significant strike you by 30 strikes. So I just want to say, like, if he fights a Peter Yan, Aljo, Corey Sandhagen, these other top tier fighters, you cannot give up 3 rounds. You cannot sit there like yeah, you knocked them out, but I have a hard realization, or TJ Dillashaw. Like, I have a hard realization of you being able to go into the 4th round and knock out these people who have fought these long rounds before and are not 37 years old. So, like, Rob Font was able to get, like, how me and you felt before the fight. Like, we were like, Rob Font was able to get some hits on you. Like, he's older. So, if you fight like these other prime fighters, that's where my thing falls with Vera. Like, you're great right now, but I cannot see you beating a TJ Dillashaw, an Aljo, a Peter Yan. These fighters are in their prime and are top 5 fighters and should be always fighting for belts. Because I don't think these fighters should just be just normal fighters. These fighters are just title contendership fighters or not. Same with like Max Holloway. Like, Max Holloway, yeah, he should always be fighting for a belt. It doesn't matter whatever. Like, even if he lost his last 2 fights, like, he should always be fighting for a belt because he has proven that he's a belt fighter. But I would have my shot here. I'll let you finish it up. But do you think I'm wrong? Do you think Vera's able to beat a TJ Dillashaw, Aljo, a Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen, these other top 4 fighters that have proven that they beat everyone outside of top 5? Marlon Vera is only now entering the top 5 now that he's beaten former champions and has been on win streak.
Hey, man, I voted against Brett in the fight to pick this fight. So, like, at the end of the day, MMA math doesn't exist. This division just comes down to whoever's winning the fucking most. Because I actually think Aljamain Sterling is going to hold this division down for a little second. But, hey, just win your motherfucking ass off. Whoever you fight next, win your motherfucking ass off. Win it. And that's the only way to make it work in this division. You're not going to get caught with a Korean zombie, like a Korean zombie Volkanovski's championship fight. Like, it's not going to happen in this division. It's always going to be somebody within the top 5 that has an arguable decision to be the best.
Shit, but stay tuned because when we come back, we're going to have Usman versus Edwards picks coming up. We're going to have Usyk versus Joshua picks coming up. We're going to have some recaps, and stay tuned because we may even go live again with my boy from Romeo Mack. Y'all loved him before. We may do it again. Y'all may love him again. but that's been totally blitzed. That's been Marlon Vera versus Dominick Cruz, UFC San Diego recap with Nate Landwehr versus Onama, and also the battle of Yasmin's and Devin Clark versus Azamat. We fucking broke it down for everybody, so stay tuned, because if you haven't made money yet, follow our picks on the picks, because we're only trying to help you make money.
I ain't gonna lie, you would have lost fuck on my ass, because I got you. My Dominick Cruz picking ass. I heard that nigga on the DC and RC show. Ugh. But one thing I do want to bring up before we go is, people are saying Marlon Vera, Chito Vera said that Dominick Cruz's style is out of date. How do you feel about that?
Did you see? So the people watching may not know, but we recorded the Usman versus Edwards prior to this. When we talked Usman versus Edwards, when I told you Usman at 35 years old, yeah, he can wrestle you, but he's not going to do it. That's how Dominick Cruz, we saw him in the second round throw Marlon Vera to the floor, and instead of, as a wrestler, you fucking follow that 10 times out of 10. You threw homeboy to the floor, go fucking grind his ass. It didn't happen. And that's how I feel about Usman as well. Like, Cruz is able to wrestle, but he doesn't do it because, like, you're getting older. It's bad on your knees. You know you're going to be able to not be able to do it later rounds type shit. And that's how I felt about it. Like, yeah, he's like, these not older fighters, but the people nowadays that are fighting, you realize that they're able to do everything, but they rely on striking. They're not like Israel Adesanya. Yeah, we don't know how good he is on the ground because he never does it. We look at Usman. He's knocking people out. We look at, like, even when he fought Gilbert, like, fucking Colby Covington. He wasn't wrestling Colby Covington and showcasing that he's a better wrestler. He was showcasing he's a better striker and that I can stop your takedowns. Like, that's how I feel about with the new wave. They can stop takedowns, or you happen to be Russian and be really related to Khabib, and no one can stop your takedowns. There's no in between. It's either you are able to stop takedowns and you're showcasing you're the better striker, or you just happen to be from Dagestan and you're just wrestling motherfuckers until submission.
Hell yeah, man. But I look at it like, it's tough to say that it's out of date. I think it needs a refresher, like you're saying. It needs some tuning up. It needs to, like, it's kind of too late. Father time kind of was over us. But you can't say that when it's you lost the first 2 rounds. Like, I understand you baited him, you waited and shit like that, but it worked. And I think if he wants to continue catching fights, I think he'll be continued, maybe like a third or fourth, second or third person that fights on the main card. But, like, he's still a name, he still has a history, and he can still do stuff. We probably don't want a TJ Dillashaw versus him third time, but motherfucking maybe we do. We'll never know. But, like, he can still sell fights. So I think he doesn't need to retire or hang him up after this one. But I just think that this was a good win for Chito Vera.
Facts. And Dominick Cruz is a name. But we'll catch y'all boys on the next edition of Totally Blitz podcast.
Hey, man. This is the Totally Blitz podcast, you feel me, man? I'm in this bitch drinking. I'm a little drunk. I ain't gonna lie. I've been smoking. And I'm in this bitch with my dog, Paul Pick'em, winning concert. He's repping his Dolphins because football season is coming up soon. So don't forget.
I'm happy you noted.
We talking that big football shit. I'm in this bitch. I'm rocking an Itachi shirt because if you didn't know, I don't mind killing your family. Because motherfucking, this is the Totally Blitz podcast. And if you didn't know, now you know. Yeah.
Got a problem with being problematic. Get the light beam on me, ready for electrostatic. Don't you step into this box if you're not batting. Then my gang got tools, you could go